BJ Watts and Robin Woebkenberg here. We are in Evansville, Indiana. We're a school. We are actually the K-12 partner. We are the third largest district in the state of Indiana, about 22,000 students. I will let Robin kind of introduce herself. My title is I'm the executive director of Opt-in, which is truly building pathways for students. That's my role in our school corporation, all the high schools. And Robin is certainly the brains behind the organization, so I'll kind of let her jump in and do her thing there and start with Deaconess Partnership.
Just you can see my name there on the, and I'm BJ's sidekick. We just go out, and I could really relate to what Tracy said. We're always thinking of new pathways that we want to do, and it's hard to slow down sometimes with everything that we want to do. But so leading right into that, because I know we're short on time. The first one that we've got going is we put on the slide our Deaconess pathway. Deaconess is one of our local hospitals. And we are starting with, we're calling it's the Modern Youth Apprenticeship. I don't know if the other states, we just got back from the national conference in Indianapolis last week with youth apprenticeship. They're really borrowing that idea of the word apprenticeship from the trades. It's different than a trade. It doesn't necessarily have to be a trade. For example, we're using it with in a hospital, but it is the idea that there is some post-secondary attached to it, some certifications. It's really blurs the line between high school and college, and it wraps around some supports with our students. So they stay in school and employed, hopefully gainfully employed. So the way we started is with a very, very small group of students. Right now we have 2 in year 1 and 1 in year 3, or 2 in year 1 and 1 in year 2. So the year 1 students, they take 3 days a week. They go to our local community college and they take coursework in principles of healthcare, medical terminology. That's what we run it through in high school for high school credit, but they get the dual enrolled college credits. And then 2 days a week, they go to work at Deaconess. Deaconess does all of the training for that. And our 2 current students are doing sterile processing. So by the end of their junior year, they will be certified sterile processors, which was a need that I think some of the rest of you said that it was a need that our employer told us they had. This wasn't driven by student interest. It was driven by employer because they're the end user of our product, which is educating students. So that's one of the ones that we are starting with. We have all of these others that we are doing in other capacities, but right now sterile processing is the focus of our MYA. Senior year, they'll have the option if they want to move on to surgical tech. That's the next step from sterile processing. So our year 2 student, she loves sterile processing so much within the hospital setting, and had some familial ties to that she wanted to stay with that. So half of her day in the high school, she is still continuing to work every day at Deaconess. But the 2 this year will have the option to go into surgical technology next year. The idea being that then when they graduate, they're already connected with their employer. Deaconess also offers college assistance. So if they want to move up and beyond past surgical tech, they're going to have the means and the resources to do that. Next up is RAMP. BJ, I'll take that one.
RAMP is a partnership with AmeriQual Foods, which is a company of about 800 employees here in Evansville. They do a lot of food packaging and MREs for the military. And this program serves the students in our district that have, without a doubt, the most barriers. We have a metric that scores our students. So if you have an incarcerated parent, if you live on subsidized housing, if you're on free and reduced lunch, all those have a point value. So these students that are in this program were not on track to graduate. The attendance cohort, just to give you a picture of it, the cohort attendance rate as a group when they start the program is 52%. So they miss about half of the school year. When they complete the program, the average attendance rate for our completions is 96. So they truly do, it does make a difference. One, I think it gives them a little hope. They see some light at the end of the tunnel. And two, they're allowed to kind of earn a wage, which for a lot of, almost all of them is a necessity. So those students, and the way that this works is these students don't attend their home high schools ever. They go to AmeriQual every day. AmeriQual actually built a classroom on site at their packaging facility. And we are, there's an A shift and a Q shift. So those students, there's 80 students in total there, and 40 students will be in the classroom doing their math, science, and English in the morning. And then in the afternoon, and while the other students are on the line working, and then they have lunch and they trade places. And this is a virtual hybrid, because these students do need a little more than just here's the work, here's the assignments, do them. So we do staff it with a math teacher, a science teacher, and a counselor, or a math teacher, an English teacher, and a counselor. But the students work at their own pace through Apex on a virtual platform. And one of the carrots we kind of dangle in front of them is, if you're on an Apex classroom, it's scheduled red, yellow, green if you're on track. So as long as those students are on track for the week, they can work a double shift on Friday and make twice as much money, which they love. So there's no coursework on those Fridays. They could literally come in and work those days, work the full day on Friday. We had a student enter with what should be technically you would call a junior. She was in year 3 of high school with 4 credits earned, and she actually graduated on time by her senior year. Now, we do follow a AmeriQual schedule. This is a year-round program. We just changed that. This will be the first year that it has not been, but for the first 4 years, those students follow the AmeriQual schedule. If it's President's Day and the EBSC is not in session and AmeriQual is working, those students went to work. We do provide transportation to them, but one of the things that we learned is that because they're not on any bus route. This facility sits on kind of the outskirts of Evansville, and while we were providing transportation, the students, even those ones that had graduated early, which we enrolled in a work-based learning course, would point out and lose their jobs because as soon as we weren't providing transportation with that bus. So one of the things AmeriQual did was, okay, what's the root cause of this problem? It's the fact that the students don't have their driver's license. So they actually are paying for driver's ed for those students enrolled in the RAMP program now, and allowing them to come in and take because you have to drive so many hours, allowing them to do that drive time while they're at the classroom and on the work site. So we understand that transportation is a huge barrier for so many students. And AmeriQual has really made efforts to kind of remedy that. And then our next program is with Berry Global. It is called Link. I
just wanted to point out, it's a merge between our two. This is our EBSC logo with the flame on the V, and then Berry's global logo has and so we've merged into with I.
And believe it or not, getting approval from the 2 comms teams was the hardest part of building this entire program, getting them to sign off on it.
Yeah.
This program, Evansville's lucky. Evansville's a small city. We're only 200,000 people. But Berry Global is the largest plastics company in the world. They have 55,000 employees on 5 continents, and their world headquarters is in Evansville, Indiana. So we understand how fortunate we are to have a partner like that truly invests in our students.
Well, if any of you get coming up here, the Halloween at McDonald's, the Halloween Happy Meal buckets. Don't know if you're familiar with those, but all of them come out of Evansville. They do 3 to 4 million of them, and our students were running the machine that was decorating them last week. We saw the last one come out. It's blue. They could not take any pictures. They're very protective, McDonald's, of these designs. So if you do get a Happy Meal bucket, Halloween bucket from McDonald's, think of us here in Evansville.
And this program is a 2-year program. Last year was year 1. We started with all juniors. And this is coursework. Actually, AmeriQual they have 2 warehouses at the airport. One
Berry,
is a little over,
you said AmeriQual, you meant Berry.
Berry
No,
has 2 warehouses at the airport. One of those is a little over 1 million square feet, and the other one's about 800,000 square feet. Both are full. And they actually gave up space and built us a classroom inside of their warehouse facility. So our students go to their home high schools in the morning, do their math, science, and English. And then
And these
the
are not
junior,
at-risk students. So these are
no,
students, unlike at AmeriQual, they interview for these positions. So they're pretty competitive because all the students want the benefit of year 2 where they get to work half their day. So at a very good wage. And so these are not at-risk students. These students need to be wanting to work in that environment, and they're interviewed and selected by Barry.
yeah. And we found that actually gives Barry a little more buy-in when they actually interview and select. So the junior year, they come out in the mornings and they do their coursework, supply chain logistics coursework, the same as Robin mentioned earlier. It's dual credit coursework through our local community college. And then in the afternoons, so the juniors are there in the mornings, then they have a lunch break, and then in the afternoons, what was last year's junior cohort, this year's seniors come back and they work full time. And there's a 5-department rotation because we just said, we don't understand. They're 17 years old. They may not know what it is that they like best about your organization. So the students do a 5-department rotation to see which one they like the best. And Barry also has tuition reimbursement for those students that may want to go into maintenance. If they're going to be a maintenance tech and take coursework at one of the colleges, they will send them there. So, and they will pay for it. So these students are making, I believe it's $16 an hour. And just put that in perspective for some of our friends from across the country, high wage in Indiana is defined as $13 an hour. So a $16 an hour wage for a student is a pretty high here. Their full-time positions are at 20. So those students come in, they work from 11 to 2 every day. We do provide transportation to and from both of these. And to and from the job site, those students have their own cars, they can stay and work later. The students will also we received a grant from our Department of Education. We were able to buy a forklift simulator, which is pretty cool if you've never been on one. But those students will also receive a forklift certification through this program as well. Robin, do you hop in? I'm not sure if I missed anything. I'm trying to go as quickly as I
No,
can
I was
here.
just going to say we have the video, but I know you guys have it posted on your site, so we could save
Yeah.
time, I know, and not show it, but everybody could go to the site to watch it. So that's it for a must.
And there's 25 students in the junior cohort and 25 in the senior, just so you have a figure. So we're about 50 students a year. And Barry actually built this structure at an extra cost of $150,000, built the classroom as load bearing. So as we have the opportunity to scale, we can build up and add a second classroom upstairs to create space for additional students.
That's wonderful. Thank you. We can always count on Evansville to give us a burst of creativity at the end of a great session. You guys I'm always amazed at the creative solutions you guys come up with.
We've got more things up our sleeves if we.
I'm sure you do.
You
guys are amazing in how you create these wonderful creative partnerships and pathways for kids to give them a real sense of hope, as you said, and also real skill building. I mean, so they really come out of high school with skills, right? So that's really kudos for that.